Have you ever felt like your emotions are too much? Or like you keep sabotaging relationships and don't know why? You're probably carrying more than just stress or insecurity. This is actually something that's very symptomatic of attachment trauma. Hi, I'm Laura Bonk, therapist and founder of Pathways Counseling KC. In this episode of Healing Attachment Trauma, we're going to explore 10 signs that you may have attachment trauma without even knowing it. This is especially true for what goes unnoticed in your life, even by you. These signs don't always look like trauma. In fact, they actually often show up as overfunctioning, someone who is seemingly doing very well in life. Can show up as quiet pain or even self-protection that no one sees and that you don't even know you're doing. So let's walk through these together. Sign number 6, you don't feel safe setting boundaries. So in this situation, just the thought of saying, I need space or that doesn't work for me, fills you with guilt and fear. You might freeze, shut down, or go into over-explaining mode. And afterwards, you replay the interaction over and over again, wondering if you've upset someone, ruminating over like, oh, what could I have said differently? What did I do? What are they thinking of me? This can be rooted in environments where boundaries were punished or ignored, where saying no meant rejection, conflict, or emotional withdrawal. So again, as children, when we're developing, we just inherently know that we're dependent on our caregivers for survival. And if our caregivers aren't very respectful of our boundaries, or if we learn that it's not safe to set boundaries, then we won't learn how to set them in adulthood. We will fear setting them. We'll fear, like, oh, if I say no, if I set a boundary to protect myself, then I'm going to be rejected. I'm going to be punished in some form. And this can look like a silent treatment. This can look like abandonment, or feeling like you're being criticized for having your own needs. Sign number 7, you experience emotional flashbacks. Maybe you find yourself feeling flooded with fear, shame, or sadness, and you can't connect it to anything that just happened. You're just flooded with all of this emotion for seemingly no reason. But there is a reason. Maybe a friend forgets to text you, and you suddenly feel abandoned. Intense abandonment that may seem, again, dramatic or out of proportion to what's currently happening. Or maybe your partner's neutral tone triggers an intense urge to withdraw or panic. And it can be either way. So, if your partner typically has an outgoing tone, but then that tone changes, so something's going on within them, and then so their tone goes to more neutral or maybe just flat, because they're dealing with something that's going on internally for them. You might feel this intense urge to withdraw for safety, like, oh, something's going to happen, something's wrong, I'm going to withdraw so I don't get hurt. Or alternatively, panic and cling, like, oh my gosh, they're mad at me, something's wrong, I need to get closer to get that reassurance that they're okay with me and that I haven't done anything wrong. These emotional flashbacks are real. Again, this is your body remembering pain from the past. And unfortunately, it's pain that never got properly processed at the time. Because again, as children, we're not able to process these things as we can when we're adults. So the pain that goes unprocessed from childhood remains stuck in our subconscious. And the smallest thing can trigger it. And then all of this emotion comes back that, again, seems out of proportion for the current situation. But it makes sense when you think about all of the situations from the past that have triggered the same wound, the same emotional output based on whatever the experiences were at the time. Sign number 8, you struggle with chronic shame and low self worth. You often feel like you're too much, not good enough, or somehow just fundamentally flawed, defective, right? That like there is something wrong with you, that you are damaged and like beyond repair. You might be high achieving on the outside, but constantly battling that belief that you're unlovable underneath it all. This deep, persistent shame often comes, again, from early childhood environments where emotions were shamed, needs were unmet, or love had to be earned. In a lot of cases, needs were unmet and emotions were shamed or just dismissed or neglected. Um, this, as you may have guessed, is oftentimes a sign of a dismissive avoidant attachment style. Again, fearful avoidant can also show this. This can show up for fearful avoidance as well. But overall, dismissive avoidance will feel chronic shame, and they might be so used to feeling this way that they don't have the awareness that they're actually feeling it. They're just so used to it. Sign number 9. You have a pattern of unhealthy or one-sided relationships. Maybe you find yourself drawn to people who are emotionally unavailable, controlling, or inconsistent. You may stay in relationships that don't feel good, not because you want to suffer, but because they feel familiar. Our subconscious is attracted to what's familiar. And I know I haven't gotten much into what that means yet, but our subconscious is responsible for 95 to 97% of everything we say, do, think, feel, everything. It's basically running the show, right? And until we gain awareness of what our subconscious is doing, we're just on autopilot, which leads to these self-sabotaging behaviors, right? Um, so again, if you find yourself in these relationships where someone is controlling or just emotionally unavailable, you don't stay because you want to suffer. You stay because it feels familiar and thus safe. Your nervous system might be reenacting old dynamics, trying to fix what was broken long ago. I think Freud coined this repetition compulsion, where again, we try to reenact old dynamics in order to fix something that was broken long ago by doing the same thing over and over again, which again doesn't make logical sense, but to our subconscious, it does. Um, so again, even when your body knows it's unhealthy, or not your body, even when your mind knows it's unhealthy, your body may be trying to finish a story it never got to complete. And instead of what we can do, instead of doing the same thing over and over again, building awareness to this cycle, and then using different strategies to heal these core wounds and these emotional patterns and change our behaviors, can break that cycle and finish a story in a much healthier way. Okay, we made it to sign number 10. You're emotionally exhausted, but can't always explain why. You feel drained mentally, emotionally, physically. You wake up tired. You go through the motions. You keep it together on the outside, but you're barely holding it together on the inside. This is the cost of living in survival mode, which, when I say survival mode, when we talk about the nervous system, that means you're in sympathetic nervous system mode chronically. You're in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn all the time without, again, having the awareness of it. You're just used to living this way. When we live in chronic survival mode, it's exhausting. It takes all of our resources to be able to just function on a daily basis and get the necessities done. So again, living in sympathetic nervous system mode, has a huge cost. We're focused on managing emotions, staying safe, hypervigilance. We're carrying pain from the past that never got the attention it deserved. And instead of healing it and addressing it, we're just carrying it with us to the point of exhaustion and crashing out. If any of these signs resonated with you, please hear this. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. This is normal. You are responding in ways or with ways that once protected you. Your nervous system adapted to help you survive. And it worked. It worked in the ways that it had to at the time. Again, as children, we have very little control. We don't understand these things. So our brain keeps us safe emotionally the way that it needs to. It's just now, as adults, these things that once served us no longer do and are likely causing us harm. So we need to update these safety strategies and learn how to feel truly safe again. Healing from attachment trauma is very possible. It takes time, consistency, intentionality, and most of all, compassion, especially for yourself. In the next episode, we'll explore how narcissistic abuse can reactivate these core wounds and why those relationships can feel both magnetic and devastating at the same time. If this episode gave you language for what you've been carrying, please subscribe, leave a comment, or share it with someone who needs it. Again, these are 10 signs, but there's so much more to this than just these 10 signs. This is just a brief overview again of what this can look like in daily life. And if any of this resonated with you, you're not alone. You're not alone. This is a very common experience. We all have an attachment style. And unless we have a secure attachment, we've all been through this attachment trauma and in some form or the other. And gaining awareness into what that looks like then leads us to the next step of healing. And we'll do that on this channel. Remember, you deserve peace, you deserve clarity, you deserve connection that feels safe, not just with others, but with yourself. I'll see you in the next episode.